Hey everyone, welcome back to A Closer Look. I realize I'm gonna need to start these things generally with some news and updates. This is convenient and expeditious. And so one of the new updates, the news and updatey things I want to tell you about is that I'm in the process of adding some extra content to the Right Sizing with Design program. Part of this is I launched the program early in the summer as okay, it's ready. And also there's probably going to be some things I learned in the process. And sure enough, so some of the things I'm learning, one is that the organizational part of right sizing, if you're trying to disperse items, give away, donate, sell, that kind of process, organizing that is a massive part of the mental load. It is also a massive part of the labor. And I think that it might also be part, uh, a big, also massive part of the stress. So my theory on all of the right sizing with design offering that I put out is that knowledge will bring you some calm. Understanding and having a system will bring you some more calm and some more ease. So, and this is my approach. You know, this comes from who I am. I like structure. I love systems. My creativity thrives with a little container around it, with the comfort of a good hug, you know, like around me. Like that's how my creativity really thrives, and I can lean into it, and I can relax, and my mind can open, and I'm not sweating bullets all the time, and my heart rate's more, you know, comfortable. So one of the newest things I've added is a roadmap. If you have done any of my programs, you know that a big part of the design process for me is roadmaps. So the roadmap for this one is for distribution purposes, and it's organized, you know, whether you're going to be dispersing, whether you're going to be donating, or whether you're going to be selling the excess stuff that you no longer want, that no longer serves you. And I don't so much as have the solutions for you, but all the considerations that I've learned in the process with, you know, my own life, but also with working with my mom, who we are now at the process of being able to, we're almost at the place of being able to list the house to sell. So she has really gotten a lot done in the last couple of months in terms of clearing out the house and doing this distribution process. So, and I've learned from her, and I've learned from the people who are out there helping her, sort of what's involved. And, you know, so I put this into this new roadmap, and I put this roadmap, it's already there. So if you're in the Right Sizing with Design program, you'll find it in the organizing chapter. And I did organize those, the design development and organizing chapter, so that they're separate now. So that's another little piece of heads up. But I think it makes more sense because you know, you start with your floor plan, you're analyzing your space, you're creating the layout that's going to work for you. You're figuring out what's going to go with you in terms of objects, the shapes of them, how they're going to fit in your space. Design development, color, material, your design concept, how you're bringing your sense of style. And so then finally, you're ready to do all the logistical work. And that's where the organizing really comes in, and managing the minutia and managing all the detail stuff. Okay, so, and I have a couple more things I'm going to add to the program. And so this is getting me to also a place where I am analyzing this offering, getting some feedback, and talking with some people who are like my mentors and my coaches. And the feedback I'm getting is I need to raise the price. So, so I'm not doing it right now. It's probably going to be closer to the new year. But this is a good time to get into the program at the starter price with the additional improved content. So that is what I recommend that you do, is get in there now. Join us for Right Sizing with Design while it's still $99. Haven't figured out what the new price is going to be yet, but I will announce that again. And then the other thing is, no, that's it. We're going to move on. And because my mind is always, well, with my mind on right sizing with design and thinking about detail, and detail work is, well, that what the devil is in the details. I realize that I have that experience, but there's also in design, it's like it's all in the details. When you can really process a detail through all uh, the meandering labor and idea and bureaucracy and conversation and, you know, like a game of telephone. If you can process a detail through all of that and have it executed in your design, who you are, you're a master. So we're going to look at a master of detail today, and his name, I don't know why I'm looking at my notes. His name is Pierre Yovanovitch. He is one of my favorites. I hate to say like he's my favorite, but if I were stranded on a desert island and I was only allowed one interior designer, it would be Pierre Yovanovitch. He happens to be very good looking, but I understand he's already taken. So we're gonna look at a simple space to start. But you're gonna get this recording and you're gonna get the links to him, and you can go see his stuff. I'm gonna just start with something pretty straightforward, just so that we can have a more grounded conversation. Here we have his kitchen. And the thing about Pierre Yovanovitch is that, you know, he knows what's what. He knows trends. He definitely knows what's popular and what's hot. And he sees all that and he just tucks his head and he's like, but here's the work. And what I mean by that is that like he is digesting input from the client. He's understanding the nature of the space, where they are. He's understanding material at such a different level. He's a master of material. So we're going to see how this is all playing out here. This is an apartment in Paris. I don't have a date. Do I have a date? 2020. I have a date. Okay, there's more pictures, but we're going to pause. We're going to come back to all the pictures. But I'm going to stay focused on this one space for now. So 2020, he does this apartment in Paris. And so I feel like starting with color because it's strong. The reds in the space are advancing out towards me. This is what we talk about. A warm color palette advances towards you. A cool color palette recedes. The reds, and actually the red oranges, I'm not sure how it's appearing on your screen, of course, but on my screen, it's very red orange. And so we see, of course, this show-stopping backsplash. And I can't really know what it is made out of, but it looks like ceramic. And it looks like ceramic slabs that were they were glazed as a unified piece, you know, custom made for this particular application. They were glazed as a whole piece in this very abstract manner, and then they were fired in these separate pieces, in these non-rectangular trapezoidal shapes, and then they were reassembled on site, you know, using grout, just like they're just giant custom made tiles. And Pierre Yovanovitch is also, he's just known for everything custom, custom, custom. That's his clients. When I heard, so his clients bring him in, and I don't know if they know this, of course, before they work with him. Maybe they got his name with like no advance warning. But he takes generally he says he takes 5 or 6 years on a project. And that's because of all this custom work. So, he came in, he had the conversations, he starts doing the research. I don't, wouldn't it be great to hear, like, what's the story behind this backsplash? Whatever that story is, that story had to emerge. And then he had to find the person who was going to make it, a ceramicist artist. And then it had to be made. And, if everything went perfectly the first time, then then it went right into the project. But if it didn't go perfectly the first time, which that's not unusual, then it had to get, done again or revised or whatever. Okay, so we're going to move on from the backsplash. One of the other things, so the backsplash, of course, is working so well with this cabinet color in the back. And it's a neat, bold cabinet color. And then what I really immediately noticed is like, oh, wow, we have 3 different cabinet colors in one kitchen. And isn't that interesting? Because I think of Pierre Yovanovitch is somewhat of a minimalist, but I might be wrong. His spaces and this space too, it still feels calm to me. There's dynamic color and shape and all these design things, color, shape, texture, line, contrast, all of this is coming into play here. But I wouldn't call it maximalist. It feels so deliberate, without anything extra. I don't think I've ever thought, oh, that's extra when I've looked at a Pierre Yovanovitch interior. So we're appreciating these 3 different cabinet facades or surfaces. And then also that one is very shiny, 2 are matte, one is wood grain. I think the shiny, I would have said that this was melamine, but it actually looks like something else custom. And I don't know what it is, if it's glass, like, again, because it doesn't look like a perfect reflection here. It looks like it's like kind of like a wobbly, glassy kind of thing. So maybe it's melamine, not sure, but you can get shiny cabinets that are melamine. So then the other big statement that I'm noticing, or I noticed right away, was that the shape of the island. You know, I think most of us immediately when we think of an island, oh, it's going to be a rectangle, or it might have like some curved edges, or maybe it'll have like a rounded, the side where people have benches, where there's benches, seating is rounded. But no, not many people would go for an asymmetrical island shape. But it is super cool. People do get, then they cluster over it more intimately around one side, and it's got more legroom, so it actually leaves the counter completely free of people. Like, everyone will be gathered here. I really like that. I think that's really neat. And I don't see the rest of the kitchen, but sometimes thinking in terms of abstract shapes is really, it creates an advantage. Also, when you're dealing with a complicated passageway. So, I'm gonna just describe briefly, stop sharing. Would have been cool if I also had pulled this up, but I'm not sure I even have the drawing anymore. But one kitchen I worked on had 3 doorways. I've worked on kitchens with so many doorways. It's an interesting challenge, but this kitchen had 3 doorways, and they wanted a long counter space, and then there would be a doorway on one side. So then one of the big needs of this particular client household was that they work together in the kitchen a lot. It's a family of 4. The kids like to help with the baking, and they bake a lot. So making space for all of these people to be in the kitchen together, relatively small kitchen. And so then we had this idea so we couldn't make a rectangular, but we did have this idea of making, like, at the end of the counter, a half circle right where the doorway is, because one thing that you learn as a designer is like when you're coming through a doorway, you don't want a sharp corner at that point. People are walking through and they, you know, you catch your hip on it and it really hurts. So you round the corner just a little, just like you're softening the edge. But instead of just rounding the corner, we actually we extended it and then made like a half circle. And then that half circle came back to the regular countertop. And that created, again, like it created this kind of space where kids could both work together and then be out of the way of other stuff happening in the kitchen. So that was my experience exploring that. I did not quite get to the level of an abstract shape, but that would have been amazing. So so finishing up in here, what else we see? Okay, pendants, 3 different colors. Also blobby, Pierre Yovanovitch, and I am going to check my notes because there's things I wanted to remember to mention about him. Things I like about him, yeah, he's got this part of him that's quite deliberate, and it seems almost like minimal. I keep coming back to that because, yeah, and maybe you'll agree, disagree. We're gonna look at a couple more pictures, but there's also his use of color. There's also this nods to the surreal. And these are the kinds of things like these blobs, these blobby pendants, this asymmetrical, wobbly shape countertop. These to me, like surrealism is often like with these, it's a warping of the real. It's an undercurrent of what's real. So it's, like a curve in the in the time-space continuum, my interpretation of surrealism for the moment. So, but where I started this conversation was his attention to detail. And so I wanted to, like, of course, we're looking at a lot of details as we go through this. There's an interesting detail here as well. If you look underneath the edge of this island counter, the way that there's the applied surface of what looks like walnut, but there's just this little gap, which makes the countertop seem like it's more floating, it's more suspended up high. And then other details, floor is marble, 3 chairs with, again, these are going to be comfortable stools, but they also have this curve. It's sort of like, the shape of your butt. So these curves speak to these curves, speak to these curves, speak to these curves, speak to the wobbliness of the cabinets on top. And then also the rounded edge here of the island. So you just, once you get going with Pierre Yovanovitch, you're like, wow, this is really comprehensive, thoughtful, and so much attention to detail. Just so much attention to detail. All right, let's look at some of the other pictures in this space. So he has, how he's organized the site is that there's these large photos. This is an apartment with a very nice balcony. And so don't know if this incredible mosaic was there or if this was part of Pierre Yovanovitch's design. I wouldn't be surprised if that was part of him. And then this is a living room. What if this maybe gives us a better view. This is a living area with a big piano. Seems like hard to see the whole space. You can see his wobbly shapes here. Some of this furniture are his designs. Actually, it's probably all his designs. He has now also, you can buy his furniture. He has a little shop in New York, which I went to. And it seemed to be closed. So I sort of just sat down on the step and decided, oh, well, I guess this was a bust. I'm going to have to go do something else. And a few minutes later, one of the employees walked up and she's like, no, we're open. You just needed to press this buzzer because it's like you're supposed to make an appointment, but I didn't want to do that. And so then she's like, but of course you can come in. So it was really neat to see. But it is a great place to see all his furniture. So, oh yeah, featured furniture, some of his, do they link it here? No. Okay. So, other photos of his space. So this is interesting, right? It's like either a mural or it must be mural. I don't see lines, so I don't think it's wallpaper. Bathroom, all with this one particular, oh, maybe it's two different kinds of marble. I have my qualms with using marble and stone, but we'll save that for another time. Sure is pretty. Attention to detail. Look at these ceiling lights and the ceiling application. So some surface is floated slightly below the actual ceiling, and then divots are created. How this happens. And then, ceiling lamps are installed that are the same as the ones that are installed in the wall. Like, that's fantastic. Little nook with it's curved, it's a little rounded, maybe it's in a turret. I don't know, I think this is an apartment. It's a part of the city of Paris where it's mostly apartment buildings. So maybe it's a little turret, and then they created an enclosure. Very sunny. You can close this curved door. They created the enclosure and then made a curved door. This part didn't have to be curved, by the way. This wall in here is curved. You can sort of see that with the architecture. This didn't have to be curved, but they did it because there were curves. And why miss an opportunity? Curves on the floor, the floating wall panel with a little bit of toe kick, and then a wall-mounted desk. Gah, gonna lose it. Okay, and here's the bedroom. See, this is minimal. This is so minimal. This is minimal. And that same ceiling trick makes it look like it's floating. I wonder how he does that. This is this ball is actually one of it's a design of a throw pillow. Okay, I mean, I'm like gonna I'm like laughing nervously because this is so like, I think these are closets, and this is where you would have your clothes stored, but then he like cut through the closets and the wall and then covered it with surface so that some light could come in and that you could see that amazing detail. And there's something about the shape of this, like this turns a corner, but it also creates a shape that is in conversation with the window behind it. I mean, I hope you're as excited as I am. Okay, this is one of the featured pieces of furniture, donut bench. Oh yeah, we saw ball cushion. All right, I think we saw the flirting high back armchair too, but yeah, donut bench is pretty cute, isn't it? I love it. Little circular place to sit in the foyer. He does have a lot of great art in his spaces as well. And I don't know if he curates them or if he's working for clients who already own the art, and he's recommending furnishings that go with the art collection. Cool floor. Cool floor. Really neat. A kind of parquet. I'm curious, maybe this is just something from the patina, the way they refinished it. A special attention to like maybe, yeah, filling in gaps with something dark, filling in gaps with a wood filler that's super dark, and then sanding the whole thing. Oh la la. And then this table, this is his design too. I don't know why he didn't list it. Beautiful. And then let's finish this apartment. Okay, more desk space. Oh, jib door. These are cool. Secret doors. They're called jib doors. I just learned that. This is also a secret door. And we're back to the kitchen. Okay. I mean, I don't know how long that took. This is probably way too long. I couldn't stop myself. I hope you enjoyed it, and keep an eye out for the price increase for right sizing with design. I love this program, and I know it's gonna be so helpful for when you're ready to work on your own right sizing project. One of the missing pieces, I think, is the more engagement with each other, with me, with each other. And I am still working that out. So I didn't want to bring that up, but now I can't resist. But you need to get started when you're ready. And I hope you'll consider right sizing with just with design for your project. And I hope you also have a really great rest of your day. Okay, see you next time. Bye.